The United States sits atop a horizontal empire. Capitalism's self-organizing, incentive-based structure with its value layers. It isn't the Marxist nonsense of to each according to his needs. You must earn your place. Consider the US dollar to be the thread or even duct tape that holds the layers together. Dollars account for about 60% of the $12.8 trillion in global currency reserves. Is America's exorbitant privilege of being the world's main reserve currency under threat? Should you even bother? Russia has been bitten by sanctions. A large portion of its $630 billion in foreign reserves has been blocked. Yachts belonging to oligarchs have been seized. Visa, Mastercard, and American Express have all ceased operation in Russia. The failure of Apple and Google Pay left penniless passengers stranded on Moscow subway. Voluntary sanctions are in effect from Netflix to Nike. Was it the appropriate decision to exclude Russia from the global banking system? Some critics believe that this is the beginning of the end of the dollar as the world's reserve currency, because Russia will align with China and adopt the yuan, or shift to cryptocurrencies. China may begin to dump dollars. In fact, China and Russia have significantly reduced their reliance on the dollar for bilateral trade since 2014. Since the Bretton Woods Agreement in July 1944, the dollar has been the world's reserve currency, with the dollar linked to gold and other allied currencies pegged to the dollar. This was not some official edict. After backing the Allied efforts in World War II, the United States was in a position of power. America was on the verge of losing this privileged status in 1971 when war and welfare deficits forced President Richard Nixon to abandon the gold standard. Countries today still retain America's virtual Benjamins and virtual bank vaults. Modern banking's gold. China holds more than $1 trillion in treasury bonds. Russia has approximately $100 billion in dollars and approximately $500 billion in increasingly frozen foreign exchange. But why do these countries hold on to their dollars? What underpins the currency? The common response is the U.S. government's full faith and credit. That plus $3.65 will purchase you a Starbucks Grande Latte, but only in Moscow. What truly supports the dollar is America's increasing productive economy's future tax-generating capacity, as well as a defense framework to protect that economy's strength. There is no horizontal binding duct tape without it. During the late 1990s currency crisis, South Korea, Thailand, Indonesia, and especially Russia learned the hard way. They did not hold enough foreign reserves to preserve their own currencies. When overdrafts and bank loans denominated in dollars became due, Argentina, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe discovered the same thing. China, like Russia, has a somewhat higher per capita GDP than Mexico, roughly 1/6 that of the United States. China's yuan value is predicted on the country's economic growth, which is now projected to be only 5.5% in 2022. While China must continue to assemble more iPhones, toys, shoes, and grills for worldwide clients, it is having difficulty moving up to higher horizontal levels. Whatever China owns in Russian rubles has lost more than 40% of its worth in a few weeks. Ouch! If Russia or other countries own yuan, they face a comparable depreciation if, for example, China is sanctioned for invading Taiwan. China and Russia should be careful of their mutual assumption that they are exclusively supported by the ruble and the yuan. And I hope Russia does stock up on cryptocurrency, the decline of which may make the 1990s currency crisis look like a walk in the park. You have the reserve currency status if you can keep it. Ben Franklin may say to today's American authorities, "What should I do?" The Federal Reserve should strengthen the dollar by hiking interest rates as soon as possible. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has to cry from the mountaintops. A strong dollar is in our national interest. Ending budget deficits would also help by causing a bidding war for outstanding Treasury securities. Companies in the United States must modernize their stale supply networks. It's a problem if items like pharmaceuticals and iPhones are only available in China. As a result, the Biden administration should abandon the union-friendly, Buy American push heard in his State of the Union speech, which parallels Donald Trump's America First stance. Apple is unable to produce iPhones in the union-heavy state of Michigan. America's power is derived from purchasing commodities and services from lower horizontal tiers allies such as Vietnam, South Africa, and Eastern European countries. Don't tamper with it. It's time for the United States to identify areas where China or Russia might have a slight advantage. Pharma, genetics, artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, and launch Operation Warp Speed-style programs to encourage these businesses through orders and prepayments rather than subsidies. Sanctions against Russia will not immediately jeopardize the dollar, but conflicts are when transformations occur. America should not jeopardize its standing as a reserve currency. If other countries start dumping money, inflation will skyrocket. Maintaining America's privilege is important, but it's easier said than done. A similar episode occurred recently during the Canadian riots. In reaction to Canadian demonstrators in Ottawa opposing vaccine mandates, President Trudeau declared an unprecedented public order emergency for the first time since World War II. Using these emergency powers, Trudeau froze demonstrators' bank accounts, compelling them to return home. Centralized entities can now impose control over your money thanks to the advancement of digital banking. They have the ability to revoke your access based on their own agenda. If you happen to be on the wrong side of history, like the innocent Russians opposing the war in Ukraine or the Canadian demonstrators, your money may and will be used against you as a weapon. While these events are obviously overshadowed by the atrocities occurring in Ukraine, central banks and market makers around the world have taken notice. We won't be able to put the genie back in the bottle. The battle has shown us that property ownership is not as simple as we imagined. Do you actually own your property or money if it is not in your region? Raoul Pal, a well-known macro investor, feels that this is a watershed moment in the world's de-dollarization. Do you think the dollar will survive the current challenges that it's facing? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. If you like this video, I'm pretty sure you'll love the one that's showing up on your screen right now. See you there.